cold didn't just bite that Christmas Eve morning. It clawed. Frost glazed the sidewalks like shattered glass, and the pale winter sun struggled to rise above the low gray buildings. Mara Elridge pulled her worn coat tighter as she walked, one gloved hand gripping a small paper bag of groceries, the other holding the strap of her son's backpack. She was a widow, a mother, and a woman who had learned how to survive quietly. Ever since her husband died 3 years ago, life had become a series of small, careful steps. But what she was about to witness that day would change her forever, and it would begin with 2 frail figures sitting alone on a bus bench, forgotten on Christmas Eve. Before we go any further, take a moment. If you believe kindness can still change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel Dreams Journal. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Mara noticed them at first only because they didn't move. The bus stop was busy with holiday shoppers and parents rushing children home, yet the elderly couple remained perfectly still. The man wore a thin brown jacket that looked decades old, his hands trembling slightly as he held a plastic bag with a few belongings. The woman beside him leaned into his shoulder, her silver hair neatly tied back, her eyes unfocused but calm. There was no luggage, no wrapped gifts, no sign that anyone was coming back for them. Something about the way they sat, close but resigned, made Mara's chest ache. She told herself to keep walking. She had just enough money for a simple dinner, and her son Noah was already asking when they'd put up the small artificial tree at home. Yet her feet slowed, then stopped. She remembered another winter, another bench, another day when she had felt invisible after her husband's funeral. The loneliness in the air around that couple felt familiar. It felt dangerous to ignore. Mara approached them, her voice soft, careful not to startle. The woman looked up first, eyes brightening with surprise, as if kindness itself were unexpected. The man explained in a strained, embarrassed tone that their daughter had driven them into the city that morning, said she needed to run an errand, and never came back. Their phones were dead. They had nowhere to go, and the last bus had already passed. Christmas Eve, he said, trying to smile, wasn't supposed to end like this. The weight of their words pressed down on Mara. She thought of her tiny apartment, the patched sofa, the single extra blanket folded on a chair. She thought of the risks, the costs, the fear. But she also thought of Noah watching her, learning what kind of world this was by what she chose to do next. The decision came quietly but firmly. She offered them a place to warm up, just for the night. The woman's eyes filled with tears before she could even speak. The walk to Mara's apartment was slow. The elderly man, whose name was Harold, moved carefully, protecting his wife Estelle from slipping. Inside, the apartment was modest but clean. Sunlight streamed weakly through the window, catching dust motes in the air and reflecting off a small, undecorated tree. Noah watched shyly as Mara brewed tea and laid out what little food she had. Estelle kept thanking her, over and over, as if afraid the moment might vanish as the afternoon passed. Something softened in the room. Harold told stories of working as a watchmaker, of years spent fixing tiny broken things. Estelle spoke of baking bread every Christmas morning, waking before dawn so the house would smell warm and alive. Mara listened, her heart tightening at the thought of how easily people could be discarded after a lifetime of love and effort. She didn't ask about the daughter again. She didn't need to. The silence around that subject said enough. What shocked Mara most wasn't just how abandoned they had been, but how quickly her small apartment transformed. Noah pulled out old paper stars and taped them crookedly to the wall. Estelle hummed softly while helping Mara cook a simple meal, her hands moving with muscle memory that refused to fade. Harold fixed the loose hinge on the cabinet without being asked. By evening, the place felt fuller than it had in years. Not richer. Fuller as dusk settled and the daylight faded into a pale blue glow. Mara realized something profound. She had invited them in thinking she was saving them from the cold. But in truth, they had brought something she didn't know she was missing. A sense of family, however temporary, however unexpected. Christmas Eve arrived not with gifts or noise, but with shared bread, shared stories, and quiet gratitude. If this moment is touching your heart, Please pause for a second, like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and let us know in the comments how this story made you feel. Your engagement truly means everything. Later that night, as the city outside grew still, a knock came at the door. A woman stood there, frantic, her face flushed with panic and regret. It was the daughter. Traffic delays, a dead phone, excuses spilling out in broken sentences. Harold didn't raise his voice. Stell didn't cry. Mara watched as years of hurt met years of love in a single, fragile moment. Forgiveness wasn't instant, but neither was rejection. They agreed to leave with her in the morning. Before they left, Estelle hugged Mara tightly, pressing a small silver watch into her palm. It had been Harold's first repair job, she said. A reminder that broken things can still keep time. Before the ending, please leave a comment right now telling us where you're watching from and one word this story made you feel. When Christmas morning arrived, Mara and Noah stood by the window, watching the daylight spill gently over the street. The apartment felt quiet again, but not empty. Mara understood now that kindness doesn't always fix everything, and it doesn't guarantee happy endings. But sometimes, it creates a moment so meaningful that it echoes long after the people are gone. And on that Christmas Eve, in the light of an ordinary winter day, for lives were changed simply because one widow mom chose not to walk past a bench.